So we have a video to show you, and it's from Thursday night. CNN's Wolf Blitzer was interviewing Senator Rand Paul about a new weapons deal that the U.S. has struck with Saudi Arabia. It's a $1.1 billion weapons deal. And Senator Rand Paul is pretty much against this agreement because he knows that Saudi Arabia is going to use these weapons to murder innocent civilians in Yemen because they've been doing that for more than a year now.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can't control how these weapons are used once, they get sold.
Exactly. Yeah. So he's very resistant to this agreement. And so what Wolf Blitzer then says is eye-opening. It's jaw-dropping. Let's just play the clip.
So for you, this is a moral issue because, there's a lot of jobs at stake. Certainly, if a lot of these defense contractors stop selling warplanes, other sophisticated equipment to Saudi Arabia, there's going to be a significant loss of jobs and revenue here in the United States. That's secondary from your standpoint.
Well, not only is it a moral question, it's a constitutional question. Our founding fathers very directly and specifically did not give the president the power to go to war. They gave it to Congress. So Congress needs to step up, and this is what I'm doing, stepping up and asserting our authority over foreign policy. And then
Wow. Wow.
Hey, these poor defense contractors. We don't want to diminish the work that they do, okay? They are providing a service. You know what I'm saying? They're providing a service. The weapons that, get sold to these countries, they pretty much encourage, the destabilization of the region. And then after the region is destabilized and we need to go in for regime change, the construction contractors have to come in and rebuild. So it's just the circle of life. Don't you love the circle of life? That's just how it works.
Wolf Blitzer sounds like he's interested, or he's more interested in warplanes. He says, well, look, you're by being against this, really you're going to stop these defense contractors from making money, and that's going to affect jobs. American jobs.
You see what they did? You see what he did there, right? Because when these political analysts and sometimes economic analysts come on, they always kind of try to pull at the strings attached to our pockets.
Right.
And obviously, the defense contractors, they're at the helm and they're in control, but they do provide Americans with jobs.
Yeah.
That's not debatable.
No.
They do provide a lot of jobs, but how do we make our moral determinations? How do we make our moral determinations so we make money off it and it provides jobs? So therefore, we shouldn't look at anything else. And
that's his first thing he said.
But then he made it sound like that was secondary to Ron Paul. And actually, I don't think Ron Paul even cares about that. And personally, I don't either. He said, "Oh, that's secondary to you. American jobs are secondary." I was like, "No,
it doesn't matter. It's secondary.
It's
or what.
neither. It's neither. It's
the first thing he says is, "So this is a moral issue for you." Of course, it's a moral issue. Like you're spreading terrorism and war all across the globe.
So
you're gonna facilitate the killing of innocent civilians, and you're kind of like thumbing your nose at so this is moral.
No,
this is a moral issue for you.
Essentially, it's just simple. Like we're gonna act like these types of weapons deals and these type of contracts do not affect the security of America.
Yeah.
Are we gonna act like they don't affect the sovereignty of those nations? Are we gonna act like it's not encouraging animosity?
But this is, this is very similar to the climate change argument, right? Because oil is really good for these corporations, right? Oh, it's very, very good for money, for big business. It's phenomenal. But it's really bad if you're talking about a moral issue, if you're talking about planets and
environmental.
Yeah, it's really bad like that. But it's kind of like the same thing.
That's the thing.
Profit ain't everything.
There's always going to be money.
Yeah.
There's going to be money to be made everywhere.
Yeah. Like blood diamonds aren't really like a good thing, right?
But they're pretty.
Yeah, they're pretty.
And they're shiny.
And they're valuable, right? Yeah. But it's like, should we be advocating blood diamonds? No. So why would we be perpetuating more war, more conflict, just because it's going to be good for some defense contractors?
Because
and jobs.
Well, because that works, and it has a history of working. Like like Bacon's Rebellion, where there was it was organized. There was they organized to overthrow the rich white power elite, and what did the rich white power elite do? They then took poor white people and allowed them to be on slave patrols. And you keep those Negroes in check because you have to give them some sort of incentive. First, like a financial incentive. You have to tug on that string. And then you give them some sort of emotional incentive. And their emotional incentive was their superiority. So you can get people to do things and accept, certain things by offering them those kind of incentives. And here it's like, hey, Americans are going to get jobs. They're offering that incentive, and the other incentive that's usually offered is the almost like a nationalistic incentive. Yeah. That's the heartstring right there. So you pull at patriotism. So you pull at the pockets
and the heart.
But
when you're talking about the economy, or you're talking about providing jobs for people, you want it to have
sustainability.
Yeah, and you want it to have like a multiply effect.
And it has effect the rest of the it has effect like the other aspects of the economy.
Yeah. But is that the case with perpetuating war and selling arms all across the globe and stuff like that? No, that doesn't do it. Because the only way, come on, if war and guns and weapons, if that breeds a sustainable economy and a job market, then what would you have to do?
You would constantly have to tear down to build back up.
Yeah.
On purpose.
You would have to destabilize.
You would pretty much
multiple regions.
You would pretty much. It would be like self-perpetuating. You know what I'm saying? That's the only way it could work. Well, that's the way it's working now.
That's the way it's working. Isn't it? That's the way it's working.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about it before, right? That's the playbook, right?
That's the playbook.
Yeah. You just keep breeding terrorism and destabilizing regions and money to be made. Yeah.
And what did Hillary Clinton call it? A business opportunity.
In Iraq, right?
In Iraq. Remember, he said it's a business opportunity. That should tell you the mindset right there.
Like, if you had proposed that same question to me, oh, this is a moral issue for you? Well, what about the plight of these defense contractors that they want to make money and they want to produce jobs for the American people? I'm like, what?
Yeah, like, I know. I'm like, where is your head at, Wolf? I'm like
that. You're really asking me that?
But what did you say earlier?
Yeah.
What network is he on?
He's on CNN, corporate media. They're so disconnected from journalism, from what really matters.
Well, again, they operate in the same way. Essentially, like whatever they put out is contingent on what ratings they get.
Right.
They don't care what the consequences are.
Right. Just so like what you were saying about jobs, they want to just tug at that string and be like, oh, this is about money and this is about American jobs. Because you're really going to put the kibosh on American jobs? Yeah. Who cares if it,
because essentially
you're talking about
journalistic integrity doesn't matter to him because it's not about that. So for him to have that position on that network makes a lot of sense. It is called CNN, the corporate news network. I mean, it's just a coincidence that it creates that acronym. It's just a coincidence.
But see, like I said before, this is very similar to climate change. But you won't see CNN do that about climate change. But when it comes to military, they'll be like, oh, well, we got to be, of course we have to have a strong military, and we got to fight terrorism and throw guns at the highest bidder and stuff. Yeah, this is like arm rebels, and then the rebels we have to fight them later.
This is one of those proofs that show that there is no liberal media.
Liberal media. Liberal media.
Ooh,
I don't see it.